Hello all. So we have actually looking into how we can work with the data. So when we wanted to work with the data, some of the features that the Tableau provided was in terms of joining and blending. And we also looked into what is when to use what. Another very important point that you need to know when you have to work with a data in Tableau is when to use a live connection and when to use an extract connection. Why do you toggle between these two things? Okay, so just to give you an idea of what is the meaning of a live connection and an extract connection, this particular session is going to be this particular session is going to help you. First of all, among these two types of connections, you have an extract connection and a live connection. The very first question with all of us is that whether a live connection is a better one or an extract connection is a better one. See, both type of connections will have their own place. When you take a system like hospitals, see, hospitals will be having a lot of databases, right? So maybe they will have to monitor the incoming patient data. I mean, it needs to be monitored in a real time. Okay, so because in case if a particular patient is in need of a bed immediately, so they need to be allotted with the necessary things. So in that process of doing it, most of the time, if for a hospital kind of system, when you have wanted to maintain a patient detail in one database, and that database connection needs to be in a live connection, just because of the reason that uh, a few things that I discussed, right? Like they wanted to understand what a patient is requiring right now. Unless and until if the connection isn't live, then you will not know the status of that particular patient. Okay, so for all of these things, you need a live connection. Whereas the same hospital system might be using some kind of visualization to understand the daily or the weekly trends. If they want to understand, it need not be a live connection, because it is just a monitor daily or the weekly trends, right? So for these type of analytics, it's enough that they will use an extract of the data source, and then that with that they can actually build a faster workbook, right? So in that sense, this is going to be really useful. So that's the difference between your extract and a live connection. Hope you could have got an idea on what do I mean by an extract and live connection. And very important point is that what am I speaking about an extract and a live connection? Say for example, I'm just uploading the same data file, which is my orders file is there, right? Just I'm placing that orders file here. So as soon as I kept here, if I will go to my data source, what I find here is two things: live and then extract connection. Okay, so live is what we did, the joining and everything what we did, right? So if you wanted to have an extract connection, you can just go and create an extract. See, for this particular thing, it is going to include all of the data. Okay, so so if you will switch to a different source, okay, or when you will switch your tabs, what happens is the extract will be created automatically. Okay, so if I will just click on create extract, okay, so maybe I'll just put one more data source here. Okay, let me just put my products here. Okay, so now if I will try to create an extract, okay, and it might take some time. Okay, um, it is just a sheet one from the multiple connection. We are just importing the data, but here you cannot actually observe the difference. Okay, but just because it is a single source, right? The connection is a single source connection. So let's observe how it is extracting the data. Okay, So generally, how do you use this data extracts? Means it is just the snapshot of data which has been optimized for aggregation, and then that needs to be loaded into the system memory to be quickly, you need to quickly recall it for the visualization. Okay, so most of the time this extract connection seems to be a little bit faster than the live connections. Okay, so that's the idea of your extracts. Okay, and generally what this extract would do is that it will actually create a compressed snapshot of your data which is stored on the disk, and then it will get loaded into the memory. Okay, so now it is saying that extract is successful. Okay, and all the information is being taken care. Okay, so the only idea is that extract is going to have all the data in the memory. So naturally your execution is going to be improved. The performance will be better when you will work with a um, extract actually. Okay, so again, when you take a Tableau's data extract, you could do, I mean, it is not something which is meant for your relational database management system. Even for your columnar store also you can do an extracting. Okay, so see, if you wanted to do aggregation of profit, you need to basically visit each row and then fetch the value of profit from its location in each row. Okay, suppose if you take a columnar thing, what happens is that the columnar store will actually store the column values together rather than the row values. You can understand here, it just store the column values together, not the row values. Okay, so id if you take it, will be like 1 2 3 4 5, and the values will be like all the columns will be completely stored. It's not a row wise. So what will happen in a columnar store is that it will reduce the input output which is required to access and aggregate the values in the column. Okay, so it is absolutely very, very nice for doing some kind of analytics. Okay, so whenever a Tableau is creating a data extract, it is going to define the structure for the TDE, and then it is going to create a separate files for each of the column if it is a columnar store. Okay, so another see, just because we are seeing it as an extract and it is going to be entirely stored in the memory, people always think that this extract will be a decompressed version, uh, and uh, if it is loaded, I mean, when it is going to be loaded in memory, is it going to be decompressed or something like that? No. See here, the compression, we will use it to reduce the storage requirements of your TDE to make them more efficient. Okay, it is definitely not a file compression. Okay, and yeah, so how does this extract file creation happens internally? Means all of the individual column files is going to be combined with the metadata to form a memory mapped file. Okay, so there will be a single file which is containing as many individual memory mapped files are there. Okay, so this is what happens with the extraction basically. And very important to know is that we can actually I mean, extraction is something like there are situations wherein you have to uh, use the Tableau data extraction only just because of the reason of the performance. Okay, it is not only going to give an improved performance. Okay, if in case if your underlying data source is very, very slow, but it can also speed up your performance if you will make use of any kind of query languages. And when you replace a live connection to an OLTP database or something with a TDE, it is going to reduce the load which is completely there on the database. And when we are creating a TDE, that is your extraction, Tableau's data extraction, Tableau is going to give you the option to aggregate your data for all visible dimensions. This is what you call it as an aggregated extract. Okay, and this aggregated extract will be always smaller than the actual one, as because it is containing only the aggregated data. Okay, not all the row level data is there. Okay, so these are some of the reasons, like, why you can go for extraction of the data. And these are two different ways that you can make use of it. And depending on the situations that you are working, toggling between these connections is fine. And yeah, so I just gave you an idea about what is the meaning of alive and an extract connection data sources. Okay, and when to use what. And of course, like when you are doing a something with two data sources, you can just toggle between your live and the uh, extract data connections, so that your visualization will become better. Okay, so that's with that we have come to the end of the I mean, we are concluding how we can work with the data. So that's all I have for this session. Thank you.